And now for Professor Elias Hakaleto from Finland. He will talk about biohydrogen production by microbes, future sustainable energy for traffic and industries. Welcome, Dr. Hakaleto.
Thank you very much. So can you see my slides right now? Great. So my topic is about biohydrogen. On purpose, I have used that term instead of green energy because this comes out biologically as a result of the production of anaerobic bacteria. And this kind of hydrogen, it's emitted from all kinds of organic matters and masses. And as we all know, the hydrogen power is coming. We have the traffic applications, tank stations, as we have just heard from in the excellent talks of the previous presenters. And we also have the industrial applications. But everything has its roots. And so the further development of these technologies, we have tried to use imagination in figuring out how the enormous amount of energy could be captivated and into the use of communities and different traffic systems. So NASA is using it for the space travel. Liquid hydrogen is a commonplace fuel in that. And in general, all that is big or great in this world has at some point been small. And hydrogen production of today and in the future has its history. And this is partially related to the microbial world. So the microcosm and microcosm are encountering in here. And I take up some persons or individuals who have greatly influenced on the development. So Louis Pasteur, first of all, he found out the microscopic creatures, the microorganisms, to be present in all living, and actually they circulate the matter in nature. So animals, plants, and microbes are the three major kingdoms, and microbes are necessary for the life on this planet. And then another Frenchman, Jules Verne, was imagining many things, but he was astonishingly right in his thinking. And so he was also predicting the hydrogen 150 years ago to become the major fuel of tomorrow. Chaim Weizmann was from East Europe, but he moved to England, to Manchester, and he developed a very finely scaled up system for the production of acetone, butanol, ethanol, and hydrogen. And so that was industrial fermentation. Later on, he became the first president of Israel. And Albert Jan Kluwer was a Dutchman who actually was finding out the unitedness in all living forms and in their biochemical or metabolic activities. And so as a combination of the struggling of many sort of endeavors of the past, we can see that there is first the talk and then it becomes reality. So Jules Verne, for instance, said in his book, or put these words into the mouth of one of the characters in the book: I believe that water will one day to be employed as fuel, that hydrogen and oxygen, which constitute it, used singly or together, will furnish an inexhaustible source of heat and light of an intensity of which coal is not capable. And someday the coal rooms of steamers and tenders, locomotives, will, instead of coal, be used with these condensed gas, which will burn in the furnaces in enormous calorific power. And finally, there will be no want of either light or heat as long as the productions of the vegetable, mineral, animal kingdoms do not fail us. I believe then that when the deposits of coal are exhausted, we shall heat and warm ourselves with water. Water will be the coal of the future. And in fact, the coal as the gases in it, this is a model of a tram which will be in use 2024 in Korea. And we have examples all over the world. And this was almost 10 years ago, we had testing of biomass utilization in Enköping in Sweden, and with the big professor Erik Dahlqvist, we wrote a kind of estimate in the book by CRC Press that the global energy consumption could be covered by biological sources 2 times. And already 1939, Professor Kleiber was stating in Helsinki in a lecture that actually the bacteria are assimilating carbon dioxide. And this is very true, but it's very difficult to get measured. And I'm trying to go deeper into this. Carbon dioxide can be reused by microbes and plants. As we know, the plants are photosynthesizing. And the carbon thus recycled and assimilated returns back to the great system of nature. And the emitted biohydrogen gives limitless sustainable energies, which could be used also for human industries without climatological consequences. And we have studied this for a couple of decades. And here are some experiments with the so-called Weismann's bacterium, Clostridium acetobutylicum, which is performing the ABE fermentation for acetone, butanol, and ethanol, but also lots of hydrogen is formed. And we studied that phenomenon in the device called PMEU, Portable Microbe Enrichment Unit. And we realized that the CO2 was necessary for initiating the bacterial growth. Otherwise, the bacteria would not divide or propagate. And so this was detected in an experiment where we led the gas from the previous bacterial culture aseptically into the next one. And here we can see that in the first syringe, which received the carrier gas, the growth started in 20 hours, as it is indicated by the blue line. And then in the next one in 10 hours, red line, and then the third culture started already at the time point of 6 hours, the green line. And so this is a way how the carbon dioxide, if it's led into microbial culture, it's boosting the growth of microbes and the metabolism. And so these bacterial cells in turn are the anaerobic producers of biohydrogen. So maybe some of you already guess what I'm trying to point out, but still a few examples. We had the European Union Baltic Sea region project above 2012 to 2014. Participating countries were Finland, Sweden, Poland, Germany, Estonia, and Lithuania. And we constructed a pocket-sized factory into 12-meter sea container, and that was meant to be used for testing different ways to utilize microbes for producing chemicals, energy, and other goods. And that system was tested in Finland, Poland, and in Sweden. In Sweden, we were using it for utilizing the chicken farm side streams in Enköping. And we combined these with some other materials, but mainly the raw material was the chicken industry and chicken cultivation waste. And from these abattoir wastes, we realized that actually we got all the time a constant stream of hydrogen, which was at best maybe 3–4% of the flow. And this flow was mainly consisting of the carrier gas. So it means that the actual amount of biohydrogen was far greater, far more than that. And we realized that the same thing occurred in all the testing points. We had this bubbling hydrogen gas in the fermenter fluid in Finland, in Kuopio, where we were treating the waste water sludge of a pulp factory. And this amount of hydrogen which came out without any effort, it could cover some 10,000 to 20,000 kilometers driving with a fuel cell vehicle. This is another industrial example where we were also treating some mixture of wastes. And hydrogen was coming as a side product, and lots of it was being produced. And besides the hydrogen, we got mannitol, we got some organic acids, alcohols. We also got the residual fraction, which was great soil improvement and organic fertilizer. And now we come to Tampere, Finland, which is the largest inland city in Fennoscandia, with about 250,000 inhabitants. And it was built beside the rapids of Tammerkoski, and the difference of the surfaces of Näsijärvi and Pyhäjärvi is 18 meters. And that place was the cradle of Finnish industrialization about 200 years ago. But also the global mobile phone industry was onsetted in there to large extent. The first NMT, GMS, and 5G calls were called from Tampere. And it was also one of the 5 first locations in Europe to receive electric light. And there is a wide spectrum of different industries existing in Tampere. So it's a dynamic industrial city. And now we are aiming at the construction of biorefineries on the basis of the past time wastes. And now I'm trying to tell the story in a short time. Since in the lake bottom there are millions of tons of so-called zero fiber, which is cellulosic side stream of waste that has been dumped during a century into the lake between 1913 and 2008. And now the city wants to build a suburb by the lakeside for 25,000 dwellers. And it's not making sense if the past time deposits or sediments are not removed. On the left-hand side picture, you can see on the lake the kind of shadow which is formed by the action of the microbes in that cellulosic mattress, which is 10 meters thick at best. So it means that there is a huge deposit of organic materials. And so we lifted it, we tested it in a pilot plant of 15 cubic meters. You can see the mass on the right. And this is an aerial picture. We can see the location of the cellulosic wastes approximately. And the white buildings are indicating the planned new suburb, which is maybe 2–3 kilometers from the city center. And the old factory site is on the right. So in here we see the pilot plant we were using for the cultivation of microbes in the sludge. And so on the right-hand side, we see the bubbles forming, and these are actually hydrogen, which is evaporating or emitted from the liquid broth. And here we can see the generation of hydrogen. And again, there is the carrier gas, which is included in that. So this is not the actual percentage of the formed gas, but anyways, remarkable concentrations of hydrogen are formed into a very big space. So this gave us ideas and promises about the potential to use hydrogen as a side product of a biorefinery, which is producing valuable biochemicals, also methane, and from the residual fraction, organic fertilizers. And all of these production lines could be made economically feasible. So together with sustainability, we could also have the economics in good shape. And so this is a way how we could make extra energy from the gas formation. So we can combine methane with hydrogen and get hydane, which could be used, if we wish, we can use it for electricity as well. And this is all 100% sustainable, no waste solution. So we can convert the past time waste into different industrial products. And here is a schematic presentation of the unit of the plan of the unit. All the parts have been piloted and tested, and we can see the different pools which will be used in that system. And so we are now willing to go forwards and seek for the political decision and also the funding for that system. Here is a recommendation by Dr. Neyman, who was 5 years ago or 4 years ago here in Green Connections as a speaker, and we have been exchanging ideas and views about the use of biorefineries for ecosystem engineering cases like in Hiedaranta in Tampere. And now we look for international collaboration for this game-changing project. The size of that unit which could be built is remarkable. So it's twice the amount of the wastewater treatment unit currently in Tampere. So it's big industries. And if we can make biotechnology or biorefineries in such a size, we can actually pave way for future solutions to treat all kinds of biomass deposits or all kinds of biomass flows which are generated in different industries, in agriculture and in municipalities. And so the processes exploited in here, they all use microbes in different ways, and we can get the precious chemical commodities. We can get hydrogen, we can get also the organic fertilizers, which we can upgrade microbiologically. And so we have the problem in this world that the agricultural land is getting spoiled. It's not adequate. So we need to boost the agricultural production. Also city food could be made. And this book is going to be published in December. We are also introducing here these views, and it's published by the oldest publishing house in Germany, Walter de Gruyter GmbH. And also we wish to show the potential of new kind of thinking in order to turn the wheel to actually restart the industries on a different basis than it was done 200 years ago. So we can avoid the climatological catastrophes and the environmental burden by changing the thinking, and we could call the microbes to help in that, in making that change. So we live in the universe where 75% of the visible matter is consisting of nitrogen. And this is also emitted even from our own body, from the intestines. So we are very much interconnected with this planet we are living on. So we continue to work.
Dr. Hakkaliitto, you have 1 minute left.
Yes, and I'm almost there. So I'm very glad that I was offered this opportunity to share these ideas with all of you, and I look forward to good cooperation, and I'm sure that this excellent Congress will generate opportunities for all of us, and we could also turn the page in the industrial development. And remember that microorganisms are an important part of future industries. Thank you very much.